Hello, everyone. Welcome to DmJunkies, where we give you a dose of your newest addiction. My name is Kawaii RMS on TikTok and Kawaii Alley on YouTube, and I am here with a very special guest. And would that guest please introduce themselves?
Hello, I am Donna the Cleric on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, but honestly, you don't need to find me on Twitter. I don't use that shit. How's it going? I DM a game called Adventures Initiative on YouTube, and we stream it also on Twitch. So, yeah.
Yeah, and aren't you having it tonight?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. If I can get this video out in time, I will try to get it so then you can go and watch the episode when it comes out, possibly.
Yeah. We'll be going live here in like 4 hours, 4.5 hours. So
4 hours. 4 hours where I am.
I hope I'm ready.
Yeah. So anyways, I just want to make a clarification that the topic is going to be the spirit of world building, and also that I want to make it very clear that just because Dono has a different way of making a world campaign doesn't mean that I have something different. It doesn't have to be the set in stone way. It's just tips to give you so that you could possibly learn something and make
world
a
building
story.
It's how the brain works. It's honestly just how the DM brain works is like the world, because like as a DM for myself, I have a whole outlook of how my world is supposed to look and just how like interesting and cool I want it to look, etc. But like it's all up to the DM of how they want to build their world and how it works.
Yeah.
Like you said, stuff like it's all I wanted to go on a rant, but my brain was just like, nope.
No, the first question is letting you rant, basically. It's just, can you give us just a little bit of a description? You said that you have A&I and stuff. Do you want to give a little description without spoiling the Land of El?
Okay, so my game, Adventures Initiative, takes place in the homebrew world of the Isles of El, which there's the capital, which is just called El because of a couple different things. Actually, I probably shouldn't talk too much about that because that might spoil it.
You're good.
There's a lot of things, but basically it is a 5 different land masses that are on a sea that make up these isles. There is 7 different countries that make up this continent. I guess it would be considered a continent, right?
Yeah,
but
I can see it.
Which they've actually heard of in the game. Like it was mentioned slightly, but nothing really went into detail about the 7 different continents yet. But yeah, like there's different things. It's a real big jumble mesh of just, and each island, like when I finally get everything written up, I want to make a book about it and let people like use it and use the world and build off of it and build campaigns in it. And not like once I have it all, like freaking each continent is probably, or each nation that is in the Isles of El continent, we're probably going to be able to have a type of adventure like gameplay that you can do. You can build entire campaigns, but with our campaign that we're doing, we're kind of right now we're in the main island right now. And they're just exploring through there, but now I plan on having them jumping around. They've already gone to 2 different islands, one that is not part of El, but is off the land part, like land masses of it. They've been to Antares, and now they've been to the main island.
Nice.
So, and it'll be growing as it goes. Like, I've got, like, on top of this, I actually have another campaign, but it's at home, and it's helping me build an entire island while playing it, and like the campaign within that and what kind of world it can have. So which is pretty cool. Like I want to get a couple campaigns going if I'm being honest, but
yeah, you're good. I want to start a campaign up soon. But I know one thing, I don't know about you, but for me when it comes to making all kinds of like campaigns or sessions or stuff, I have the name of the world and I have a brief description of it, of what I want, But after that, like once like session 0 goes and stuff, I just am like, this is what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna pull some of it out of my butt. Like I
Yeah.
have some
Yeah.
ideas of where to go,
Yeah.
but other than that, I don't know. I consider myself a very narrow builder, if
Mm-hmm.
that's the correct term for it. I know there's a lot of people that say to go broad. Like I'll make a map of like a world just so I have a map, and then as the campaign goes on, I update it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Like that's you can have basically when you go to start a campaign for me, it's you want to name your cities, you want to like if you can build a map about the cities or you can build maps as people come into it, but you want to have like a brief description of your cities so you know as a DM later on when they're like, "Hey, I want to go to this town," etc. That you can like you can take the day to just like you take a day and you just make your map and you set up your different things and then you have notes of like the different shopkeepers, etc. But for me, I started out with a lore, the continent design, um, and where the big cities are, and then a few things that are in that area. Like, what is that island known for? Is there a main guild that helps out within the island? Now, is there a lord or a lady that rules that island, etc.? Or is
Mhm.
it done through like judges and such? But
Yeah.
like within the world of L in the capital L, there is the Queen Cristelia right now, and yeah, it's been mentioned a couple times that she's stuck within the city because of deals that she's made back in the day, etc. I hope to go more in depth with it as the campaign goes on. Hopefully, my players become more interested in her. They kind of make fun of her and say that her name is a bit of a hooker's name, but
That's a
like,
DM's plea to
be like
players.
that.
I feel like that's a DM plea to players. Like, please,
Yeah,
if
like
they could
as a
be
DM, you
watching
always
this.
like plead for this different type of stuff. But now, I started out with all like these different ideas. Like I knew who the queen was going to be. I knew who like different like adventure ideas throughout the campaign. Like
Mm,
I had started out before I had started building this campaign with like 15 different one shots that I wanted to do, and then
yeah.
it helped me build a complete campaign of adventures and ideas. And then like as I grew, like I had big quests that I wanted to do, and
Mm,
then as the campaign kept going and they got more interactive with the world, I started coming up with like mini quests, things that they can do just for fun, whatever. And like that helped me to kind of figure out more of what the attitude is to everybody to this group of adventurers. How are
mm,
they coming off to them? Are
yeah.
they being very charismatic with them? Are they just like, oh, you're annoying, go away? Or are they like, oh, okay, I can deal with you. Like you're not bad, you're not good, but no, you're
You're at
definitely
least
not a problem.
there.
Yeah.
And I think it's also really important to like really hit like the point to it is that you really want to make sure that it's character based too if you think about it. Because
Hmm.
like sometimes you can like just make a world just straight up, and if you don't pay attention to character backstories or you just don't pay attention to characters in general, then it's like
Hmm.
very very hard to make a world in a way. I don't know if you
Yeah.
so like backstories of other character like players are very very important, and it doesn't have to be like a 20-page like essay on your character. It can be just like a brief like family,
Yeah.
where they live,
And
location.
for like DMs, a good thing to kind of give a rule of thumb to your players when building a backstory is if you're starting at level 1, make sure you have a level 1 style backstory. You don't want to be the guy
Yeah.
that slayed a dragon before and then get killed off by goblins. God.
I
Not
mean,
freaking word. But yeah,
you could say that they
also
took a like goblin to the knee maybe, but you never
my whole thing also is that to make sure that fuck, what am I thinking? um
know.
Players, like I know there's probably going to be like DMs that are players and players that are just listening to this.
Mhm.
When it comes to building your backstory, don't put like a huge amount of adventures into it if you're level 1, but you can put family dynamic. Like, do you have a good relationship with your mother, but a bad one with your father, or vice versa? Do you have brothers and sisters that love you dearly? What are their names? What are their like, what's their job within the city? What are they aspiring to do? You can do a good little build. Like, you could have about a 4-page backstory, where not like you have small
Or you didn't
notes.
even try to make a 4-page backstory.
Yeah, like, it's not a bad thing to have a good, like, dense backstory, but like, also make it so it's like notes for the DM. Like, make it so like, this is something that's really important. This is something that you can work off of. Like, these, like, if you put in a character's name, like, if you're typing it up, put a point down and then just give a brief description of what that character is.
Doesn't even have to be like a paragraph. It could just be a sentence.
No,
like, I remember when I made
like, I am very funny, or I laugh a lot, or I don't take things too seriously. I am an angry person, etc. Gives the DM something to work off of and what you are expecting, but and it also helps them to world build as well.
You could even like do other things. I remember one of my old characters that they had like a childhood enemy, and by the end of the campaign, I actually had befriended them. So there was that. Another character that I have, it's a previous character. Her name was Pam. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but that one was like a 4-page story where I combined it to make it. It seemed like she had like a split personality type of thing, but that was only when she was under either high stress or needed to be like mature when needed. But after the second arc hit, that completely changed, and it was just straight up like, oh, time to do self-discovery, because how does one simply?
Yeah. But like, also within DMing, you want to make sure that what your characters do, what your players do, affect your world. So basically, as a DM, before you start, you should have a world and kind of just how it works. Like, how, like, making a clock. What turns this way makes this turn, and whatnot. Like, and your players are just slight little cogs that are like, they're placing different little things. Maybe the clock is broken, and it's their job to put the cog in there that helps to turn it to go a certain way. Like, and then like, if they fix it and they leave after doing a quest that affects the town, how does that town then like deal with it? Or as you as a DM, you could have made an entire dungeon and they go to clear it, but they don't clear everything. How does that little bit that they left there affect the rest of the world around them? It's like a butterfly effect. Those guys go out and try and attack the village and go for revenge while the players are gone, and they don't hear about it till like a month later.
Yeah, it's kind of like a butterfly effect where the guy steps on the butterfly and it changes history. It's like, what are you doing that's going to change your path, type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like I guess when it comes to me and world building and stuff, something that I like to do is not just do I have maps, not only do I put players in, but sometimes I'll come up with NPCs on the spot or inspiration. Never, like, I don't know, my philosophy is never be afraid to take like inspiration from other games, other books, anything like that, because it could be something really cool in your world.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, freaking working on the spot is like a great thing to do. Like, one of my things for like a random NPC is I'll think like, okay, what's like, I may not think their name right away until they ask, because sometimes my players just don't ask, but like, I'll have a type of name in my mind, or I'll just throw a bunch of syllables together and like, blech, my name is Blechle. Or and then you just work like a voice. But if you want to make the NPC, like, if they start to make the NPC a little more like someone that they like, then think of, okay, what's this person's class? What's their highest stat? Now, what do they fight off of? And then you work on that. And then, in case you don't have a character sheet for them, and then it's just like, what's their favorite weapon? 3 things, boom, that's it. Like, do they have a +3 to their attack? Boom, good. Proficiency, 3. So it's 6 or whatever, and they fight with a weapon. Maybe they fight with a weapon that they're not proficient with because they're a little weird and they like to try new things, etc. Like,
they like to fight with a turkey bone instead of a dagger.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, they make a shape out of a bone. That's a great idea.
I can just picture right now I guess we're making an NPC on the spot. I can picture a dwarf, like a little dwarf, like kind of like a couple inches taller than a gnome. And just like he thinks that he's a gnome, but he loves food so much. So as you get like players get to the area where he lives, I'm just gonna say a tiny ass cave type of thing. All of a sudden it's like they just want to go into the cave and look, and they just see a bunch of like meats and everything else from what the person's eating, and then all of a sudden you see like a dwarf that's like
a ham bone in his hand.
Walk away from my food or I'm gonna pick you.
Exactly. Freaking I actually have a interesting NPC that is in my world. Like there are some times where my players will talk before game or like in between the weeks between games, and they'll just give me ideas for NPCs, and I'm like, all right, they're in the world, you just got to find them.
Yeah, it's like
I think this one that I did like a live, and I was building a town, and I was wanting to do a bartender, and people were just like, oh, do like Jack Daniels or something like that, and I'm just like, that's kind of like, I don't want to get sued, but no, I was just like, they're trying to be like, they want an orc or whatever, like trying to get me to this really crazy thing, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna throw something your way, and you tell me whether you like it. I'm gonna put a human in the bar, but they were cursed to make their face look like a squid, and then their arms are very jiggly, so they can just stretch and get all the beers and stuff.
I'm getting literally your Tavern Brawl episode stuck in my head now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But I have an NPC that is a human variant that has a squid for a head and whose limbs are very wiggly, and his name is Davy Joseph. So for anybody listening to this, if you ever are there when we do the episode where Davy Joseph is set in, I have a voice and everything set for him. Like I am ready. I even I made an entire character sheet for this random NPC that's in the middle of my fucking world. And I'm just like, please, find him, please. Like, I'm so excited. We've also made we've also brainstormed an idea for a drunk wizard class. Basically, they use alcohol to cast their spells.
Awesome.
Like, they use different brands of bottles that have the arcane symbols on them, and they just drink it and then spit out the spell in their mouth.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I feel like they're an alcoholic.
I am not an alcoholic.
But yeah, is there any questions you want to ask me? You can easily just say no.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't really have any questions. I'm just enjoying this a lot.
You mentioned voice acting a bit, and yeah. What's the weirdest voice you have ever made for an NPC? Like on the spot, you needed to come up with one.
Freaking straight up, my first one that I ever made for like A&I was for I had a character named Kristoff. He was a half-orc. He has a whole bunch of half-orc children, and it was just a terrible voice. And I was just like, God, this is horrible. Like, I had no idea. Like, I had the character not planned out and everything. I just forgot to do the voice, and I was just nervous on the first session so badly that I was like, my name is Krister, and this is my child. And it wasn't even that good.
Wow.
It was just me, like, with a Russell voice, and I was like, this is terrible. I am way better than this. And then after that, I was just like, all right, I'm going to prep myself for every voice that I have to do.
Yeah. I haven't learned to prep my voice for DMing. So it's very interesting what comes out of my mouth for NPCs. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
If I'm being
I mean, hey, you know what? If people think it's pretty cool that Hippity Hoodah sounds like a, Boston drug addict, I don't know. Then you know what? There you go. Sometimes it's just gotta happen like that.
Sometimes you just randomly think of a voice, and it happens, and it just works.
Okay, so going back onto world building and still kind of hitting the focus point on that. I know for at least my worlds and stuff, I've actually pieced together, and some people haven't figured it out yet. But in a lot of the worlds that I make, like Isaiah was the one that I made that I mentioned to you a while back. I actually have a couple of like things that go on in the world that like make it a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought of making things instead of having them be topics for conversation? You can just make it like controversial. Have you ever thought of doing things like that?
Oh, I think one of my favorite controversial things within actual D&D, because on my TikTok I do D&D fun facts and stuff, is the fact that
Fully sponsored.
like Wizards of the Coast literally made a controversial subject of what made dragons. Like, did they just pop up in the air? Like, did they just fall from the sky and came from these rocks? Or they like grew from that? Or did they evolve from dinosaurs? Like some people believe that. Or were they just they just popped up here from a different
Or
world?
they spawned from the nine hells?
Yeah. But the two main things is just did they one, dragons either evolved from dinosaurs, which is one of the things, or two, there were these egg-shaped rocks that fell from the sky and landed on Tull and began they hatched dinosaurs. That is the two theories, and experts, if you ever meet them in game, will be fighting over that. There's the two beliefs.
Yeah.
And I'm just crazy.
We had this one character. I loved him the bitch. That PC, DMs aren't supposed to pick favorites, but I do anyways. But I won't make it obvious, but this one I really liked. They were a beekeeper, which I thought was pretty cool. So they had 8 bees to start with, and then they would keep going and going and going, and it kind of broke at some point. But what happened was he's like, I'm gonna start a cult of bees, where you will get this magical honey or something like that, and free real estate if you have me be your cult leader, type of thing. You'll never have to pay taxes on your house or something like that. You can get some wacky characters just by your players.
Oh yeah, I love it when my players are just hey, can I set the forest on fire with this stick that I found? I'm like, sure.
You might regret that, but go for it. I feel DMs, when it comes to certain things like that, especially when it comes to the world that's around them, it usually, in a way, it goes back to the whole butterfly effect. You do something, what's gonna happen? I think DMs sometimes forget that a lot of cause and effect happens. You kill a hobo in the middle of the street, are you gonna get arrested?
As the kids are now gonna go finding you?
Yeah.
The guard, freaking, how are the people gonna learn who killed them? There's freaking Raise Dead, there's Speak with Dead, and stuff like that. They ask questions and whatnot. There's the crazy thing about D&D and if you think investigation stuff with cause and effect,
it would be very scared
to find out who killed somebody.
Yeah, it's not like Cold Case Files where it takes 10 years.
Oh yeah,
especially when you have a lot of homebrew stuff, that can make it even more interesting.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. In all honesty, when it comes to a detective or something like that in game, necromancy is a completely okay thing to use when trying to figure out mysteries. To solve. For me, I would totally homebrew a special ops of detectives in the world that are allowed to use necromancy to figure things out. That would be, because necromancy is just it's the easiest way to figure out if someone who killed the person.
It's kind of like
Excuse me.
It's not exactly, but it's kind of like the Ministry in Hogwarts. They're there to figure it out. Just imagine if they were all necromancers instead. Poor Petalthorn.
I think it would be really cool to have a group of detectives that followed the Raven Queen and were given the ability, given warlock powers, or even clerics or whatever, or paladins, they were given that ability from the Raven Queen to be able to figure out the past of the dead, or how someone died. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I just think like, and literally, I think I might just take notes from just this conversation for future stuff.
You're totally welcome to.
Yeah, everyone's welcome to at this point.
Mhm.
Well, we're getting closer to the end of the first episode, Dono. I'm going to be asking every DM that comes to visit and guest and stuff, what is one DM mistake? Because like every DM makes a mistake, but like, what's one where you saved your ass?
Where I saved my ass?
Yeah, like where you fucked up terribly and you saved your ass.
Freaking I saved my ass. Good lord. Can I say almost every time? Kidding. Okay. So I did a one shot a while ago before A&I where I was using a homebrew creature and I was like, it was one that I had made myself and I wanted to test it out. So we drew in a one shot to see if they could take it down easily as like level 8s.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up, I made it too quick. I made it too strong, and I was just like, "All right, I'm gonna nerf its health just a little bit." And like, the people were just like, "Can I do like?" As a DM, I like to set up situations and where it's like, "Okay, get creative," and I'll say yes to a situation. But sometimes players like don't think creatively, and
My
so
boyfriend
it
though
doesn't
just
happen
smiled
that
like
way.
crazy. He's in front of me and he just got the biggest smile when you said be creative.
Like you need to be like in D&D. One of my favorite things as a player is to be creative. So like I encourage that in my players as a DM is being creative because like I'll get when I'm playing, if I get a certain item, I'll be like, can I use it like this and stuff? Because it'll have a description of how it works. Like one of the best things that I can explain is Windiest Hail when he hit 1K, he did a one shot called Co-Wind. And
Oh, I
I
think I
played a
heard about
Tabaxi
that.
Rogue. Yeah, I played a Tabaxi Rogue named Jabari. Yeah, Francir. Jabari Francir. He gave me because I hadn't picked out a magical item yet for my character. He gave me these gauntlets that made my like hand attacks electrical.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, my character likes to use daggers, and I use magic as well. And I have the spell message. Can I wrap copper wire around my daggers and activate my gauntlets to be able to make my daggers do an extra amount of damage of lightning? And he's like, yeah, do it. And so my freaking character, who didn't have too many magical items, used his brain, because rogues are actually really smart, to invent electrical daggers and shock the shit out of people, but
Yeah.
from afar. And like I wanted them to do some stunning effect, but freaking it worked.
Alrighty.
You know?
Well, anyways, thank you, Dono, so much for being my very first guest. I think I'll actually have enough time to get this done, so then I'll be up on Saturday before your A&I. But if not, then I will make sure that it's sometime in between that time frame. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
No
But
worries. You're
anyways,
good.
I just want to thank everybody for watching DM Junkies, where we show you your newest addiction. Dono, do you want to tell anyone where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on TikTok as Donna the Claire. You can find me DMing Adventures Initiative on
Gonna be on Twitch tonight.
Saturday. Yeah, we're starting at 4:30 Mountain Time, 3:30 Pacific Time.
And it's gonna be 6 o'clock
Mondays,
Eastern
we
Standard
post
Time.
episodes from Twitch. So
There we go. Well, anyways, thanks so much again. And don't forget, guys, to just roll it.